The fourth category I want to talk about are reactive feelings. This is Virginia Satir's term. Reactive feelings are really how we feel about how we feel. Sometimes people are very obvious about this, and sometimes they're less obvious about this. But I'm going to argue that reactive feelings are extremely important for a couple of reasons. One is that how you feel about how you feel really is what your self-concept, your self-image, and your self-esteem is based on. The second is that we tend to think about treatment. Oh, so-and-so came into treatment because they're depressed. Somebody else came in because they're hostile, because they're angry. And somebody else came in because they are having problems with substances or with eating or with sex addiction or whatever. We tend to think about things that way. I'm going to say right now that that's not why people come to treatment. Nobody comes to treatment because they're depressed. People come to treatment because they are tired of being depressed and they're starting to be scared that they'll never feel good again. They come because they're scared that if they lose the control of their anger one more time, they're going to get fired. They come because they are embarrassed at the fact that they worry all the time. They come because they start feeling afraid that if they don't get control of their sex addiction or cocaine addiction or addiction to overeating or something, that they're going to lose a significant relationship. They don't come because they're depressed or angry or anxious. They come because they're scared of those, or they're embarrassed by them, or something like that. It's how they feel typically about their defensive emotions that gets them into treatment. Sometimes people start to get a peek of their bypassed emotion and they become terrified that their shame is going to break out or something like that. That happens too. Again, that's a reactive feeling though. As long as they think they have control of their shame, they're not coming to treatment. They're only coming when they believe they're losing control. The fifth type of emotion I've listed here as instrumental emotions. I took this term from Leslie Greenberg. I think you could almost more easily call them habitual behavior. They start out as instrumental. He's right about that. Instrumental means that you use them to get something that you want. So in this situation, the easiest way to think about this, the easiest place to see this is in kids. We all know about temper tantrums. We know about pouting. We've all seen the 3-year-old who doesn't get his way and mom doesn't want to buy him a toy when they go to Walmart or Target or something, and he throws a big wall-eyed fit. That's instrumental behavior. What happens with instrumental behavior, though, is that over time it becomes habitual. Because it's a behavior and because it's subject to the law of conditioning, if it's reinforced, it persists. If it's reinforced long enough, then it really persists. And then when you quit reinforcing it, then it actually increases for a while because people really want to see it reinforced. It takes a while for extinction to sink in, and even if extinction seems to be sinking in pretty well, all it takes is for it to be reinforced again one time and it's back full force again. I mentioned tantrums and pouting, but this is something that you see also pretty frequently with clients, and you may see it in your own life. Pretty typically, you can hear when people have these kinds of things set up. An example that comes to mind is, I get mad when people lie to me, which is very much of an if-then statement. If people lie to me, then I get angry. What that does is it set up the rule, and it's also made it very clear to everyone else. Don't blame me if I start acting angry, because I already told you what the rule is. As long as you follow my rules, I won't get angry or start crying or whatever it is. That's very much habitual, conditioned behavior. This behavior causes a real mess because it's not adaptive, first of all. It's something that people do because they get away with it and they use it to get their own way. So from the standpoint of the therapist, the best thing to do is really to leave it alone as much as possible. It seems okay to that person. Their rule seems reasonable to them. To them, it's just, oh, this is just how I am. And it may be different from everybody else, but it's how I am. They don't really realize that it's rule-directed behavior. So you might point out the rule to them. You might point out how their reactions seem excessive compared to what everybody else is doing. But where this really starts clearing up is when the bypass emotions start clearing up, because when that happens, people get back to their feelings again. And once that happens, they start recognizing the difference between a feeling and some habitual behavior, because these feel hollow. And when people start feeling how hollow this is and start realizing, oh, I do this because, gosh, I learned this from my dad, and he always did this, and I kind of started imitating him, and then I just started doing it, or whatever their story is. Then instrumental behavior, habitual emotional behavior, will start unwinding on its own.